Hi guys, this is Mr. Dave, and I'm with the National Museum of Nuclear Science and History. What makes nuclear beneficial in the long term if we wanted to survive on Mars? Now, here on Earth, we have a couple different ways that we use as our major electricity generation. Now, I say electricity generation. Normally, when you hear energy generation, we're talking about the generation of electricity. That means to make electricity from a different power or energy source. That source can be fossil fuels, that source can be wind, that source can be solar, and those are kind of our primary ones, in addition to, of course, nuclear. A lot of these that work well here on Earth aren't quite as productive in space or on Mars. One of them being fossil fuels. Now, fossil fuels here on Earth, you will burn the fossil fuel in one way or another. The heat will turn a turbine, which will power a generator, which will get those electrons moving and give us electricity. So what about wind? Right? We see all these huge dust storms on Mars, so something's blowing that around. It must be wind, right? So there must be a lot of wind on Mars. Well, there are times on Mars where it is very windy, and it does blow a lot of dust around. But something about that wind on Mars is a little bit different. The atmosphere on Mars is about 1/100th of what it is here on Earth. So even though that wind may be blowing 60 miles an hour, it wouldn't have the pressure to power a big fan like you see, right? Those big old turbines, those big windmills that you see. Those require a lot of air pressure, right? So 60 miles an hour wind down here on Earth is pretty powerful, but 60-mile-an-hour wind on Mars is not quite as strong. And that is like this ping pong ball. Right? If we were to imagine this ping pong ball to be the atmosphere on Mars, right, which is 1/100th of what we would find on Earth, the one little ping pong ball, if it were to fly at me, it didn't have a very huge effect. Now, if we were to take 100 ping pong balls to simulate the atmosphere here on Earth and all of that pressure, it will have a larger effect. As you can see, the pressure here on Earth, that 100 times the atmosphere of Mars, will have a lot easier time affecting something, causing the movement of those big old windmills that on Mars wouldn't be quite as powerful because we don't have that pressure. So what about solar, right? Now, we see these solar panels in a lot of the things that go up into space, and that is because a solar panel, once you have the equipment there, it doesn't cost anything to run. So the power comes directly from the sun with no moving parts. But remember how we talked about those big old dust storms? When you get those dust storms, they will cover those solar panels. If you have no sunlight, you have no energy. Now, nuclear is in use right now up on Mars. Our Perseverance rover is using nuclear. Some of our previous rovers have used nuclear. And what they use is a multi-mission radioisotope thermoelectric generator. And so it's able to generate electricity directly from the heat, meaning it doesn't have to turn a turbine, so there's no mechanical parts that all that Mars dirt and dust can get in and that can wear out. We can get a lot of electricity or a lot of energy for a long time using nuclear. Now, why is that important if you're on Mars? Well, a lot of times you want light to see, or you want to be able to recirculate the air to breathe, or you want heat or cooling. And those things come from the electricity or the energy that's generated from whatever power source you're using. I'm an old guy. I probably won't make it to Mars, but maybe one of you guys will, and maybe you will be using nuclear to power that mission. I hope so. And if you do end up going to Mars, make sure you send me a little note. I'm Mr. Dave. Say, hi, Mr. Dave from Mars, and wish you were here, because I'd love to get that note from you someday from Mars. This is Mr. Dave with the National Museum of Nuclear Science and History. So if you do go up to Mars and you are digging around in that Martian dust, don't forget to wash your hands.